back to the Senate Podcast. We're on episode number 38. I'm your host, Caleb Johnston, and today I'm joined by somebody who is very excited to talk about some video games. This is Stone Cold Kev. This is going to be your name for the episode. How are you doing? How are you feeling? I know you've been playing games recently, so...
Yeah, no, I'm doing great, and just want to first say thank you for having me.
We're gonna
recently, oh yeah, definitely, yeah. No, I've been wanting to make this video for a very long time. Definitely super excited. For me, video game wise, I mean, I already told you, like I went back to single player games.
Yes.
Before that, I mean, we were just playing multiplayer games. I know us and the boys were playing Warzone a lot. I was also playing Fortnite with some of my own friends, and the skill-based matchmaking it is very easily just burns
it puts you back
out.
in the mood for some single-player games.
Oh, yeah, man. Just give me some story. Let me feel like I'm progressing through something, actually achieving something, rather than XP bonus or leveling up my seasonal.
I know prestige. it's like I don't want to keep leveling up all these battle passes. I want to play a real game.
Yeah. All this extra $10 here and there.
I know, just spending all this money on nothing, literally nothing. It's like, think about all the money we've spent on battle passes that we could have been buying like $60 games that are way better than
Game of the Year games.
Yeah, like Game of the Year games that we're going to talk about today. However, over the course of the last 10 years, if you want to go from 2013 to, all the way up to 2023, really that would be 11 years. There's got to be one game that doesn't make the top 10 list. So we're going to make a top 10 list of the top games of the year over the last 11 years. So we just went through them all, and I'll go through them in order before we give our own list. But 2013, Last of Us. 2014, Dragon Age Inquisition. 2015, The Witcher 3. 2016, Overwatch. 2017, Breath of the Wild. 2018, God of War. 2019, Sekiro. 2020, Last of Us Part 2. 2021, It Takes Two. 2022 was Elden Ring. And then, of course, Baldur's Gate 3 in 2023. Those are 11 games. Now, for you, which one of those does not make your top 10?
This is very easy. Last of Us Part 2. It is the worst sequel. Okay. This is what you just don't want to happen when you have something very, very magical, very loved. And this is not the outcome I wanted.
You're like, The Last of Us Part 2, that's it. Next.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's very easy.
Now, mine is on a completely different part of my list, but we'll get to it. The one I'm leaving off of my top 10 is Sekiro because, you know, like I said when we went through the years, it's so generic. I get it. It's probably the hardest Souls or Souls game from FromSoft, great FromSoft game, but it's so generic. Like, it's so forgettable compared to the rest.
Wow.
So
that is shocking.
I'm sorry. It is. I'd rather play Neo. Anyways.
Okay. There you
go. All right. So top 10. How do you want to do this? 10 to 1. Who wants to go first? How are we doing it?
Yeah, we could just do 10-10, 9-9.
Okay.
Go back
so number 10. What's your number 10?
Let me pull it up. I already got the list. My number 10 is Breath of the Wild. And this is because of Nintendo refusing to upgrade their systems, be equivalent of the Xbox X,
yes,
the PS5. I mean, I don't know where the Switch lands on computers, but it's definitely not up to date. And that's what they're working off of, and that limits them a lot. And I think Breath of the Wild could have been, one of the best RPGs of all time for me, but for personally, it's just a bare bones.
It was so limited, so bare bones.
Yep.
Now mine is so mine is not at the same place. My number 10 is actually Overwatch.
Yep.
Because it's a generic online shooter.
Now it is.
Yeah, when it came out, it was huge, but hey, it made the top 10 list. That's still pretty impressive.
That is.
So even though it's at the bottom, it's still made the list. It made it over Sekiro. So I'll say that.
Man's got some hate for
I'm
the
so I
From
don't
Software games.
I'm not the biggest fan of FromSoft. I get it. I get it. I played them. I played them. I like Jedi Survivor. That came out in 2023. I think that is amazing, and it's like a FromSoft game, but
Definitely similar.
this is whatever. But yeah, Overwatch is at the bottom of the list, number 10.
Can't argue with that too much. Yeah, well, Deja Vu number 9 for me is Overwatch.
Got to be the same reasons.
Yeah, I mean it's a multiplayer game.
It's just bottom.
Yeah, no story. Maybe a story would have put it higher. Most likely not. It was good. I just for me I had a lot more fun. I kind of for me a lot of my friends played it, so I put more time into Overwatch. That's kind of why I have it higher than Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, still basic. It's like you said, bare bones for both. Another bare bones game is my number 9 pick, Elden Ring. I'm sorry, bro. I played it. I literally have played it. I bought it full price. It is boring. The world is cool. I'll put it that way. The world is cool. Some of the lore is cool, and the design of some of the creatures and some of the places are pretty cool. But other than that, it's boring. The invasion aspect, terrible. Boring. Okay. That's it. That's all I gotta say.
Wow. Man, that is
I'm
just
harsh.
not your type of game, I guess.
No, it's not. It's really this list is so biased. And it's obviously going off of what I have experience with. So as we move on, I have more experience with the games. But yeah, super biased.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's the whole point of the list. And I'm also allowed to disagree a lot. For me, number 8 is Sekiro. For me, I just enjoy a different setting from software, which is Dark Souls, Bloodborne. The Japanese, there was a lot. I think that was I was pretty big into Neo, and this came sometime after either the first or second one.
I think it came after the first, but I think right around the second one.
Yeah, and so I was kind of like out of it with the Japanese setting. If Sekiro definitely had a bigger budget. It was probably more of a AAA game than Nero, but for me, it felt like Sekiro was a copycat of Neo, and that just hurt me due to another game I played. So,
yes.
Yeah.
I agree. I think the setting for Sekiro is the coolest out of all of the FromSoft games. I don't like medieval settings. I think they're bland, but obviously the Japanese setting was cool. But like you said, play Neo. Neo 2 came out in 2020, so it was a year after this one. But all right. My number 8 is Dragon Age Inquisition, just because I haven't played it and I want to jump into it, but it looks amazing. I haven't jumped into it yet. Super excited to jump into it.
Number 8. Number 7 is going to be Baldur's Gate 3. And now this definitely has a big chance of upping number 6 for me. I just haven't been able to play it. I've been very unfortunate with kind of that situation I'm in. It's definitely a game you want to. I feel like you really want to experience with another person, like a friend, mainly. It could be a great single player game. I don't want it to be that. Dungeons and Dragons is very much about friendships and bouncing or going along, having a journey side by side with another person. So I want to experience it like that. Once I get to beat it, I'm sure it can jump number 6, which I won't say.
That's actually a good point, because really the whole point of Dungeons and Dragons is to play with a party.
Yes. Yep.
So okay, yeah, that's awesome. So my number 7 is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. It's also, in my opinion, very bare bones. The only reason I have it at 7 and not lower is because it was huge. It really was huge. There really was a lot of amazing things they did implement into it. It was a zeitgeist game, made waves, changed gaming. I mean, it still is huge. A lot of people's favorite game of all time. So that's the only reason it's at number 7. Personally, was not my favorite. I like Twilight Princess.
There you
So,
go.
there you go.
Yeah, can't argue that it really did take the world by storm, and
It
it was
did.
a huge. It kind of made. I think that was one of the games outside like Mario Kart that like makes Nintendo or makes you want to go get a Nintendo because no one else has it.
Yes.
I just wish I could. That is just one of those games. I think Nintendo is a huge genre of games that I want to appreciate more.
Dude, me too. Like if I feel like if you play PlayStation, PC, or Xbox majority, you look at the Switch and you're like, wow, I really want to love those games, but they're so bare bones, I just can't get into it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean they're targeted for a much younger audience, and they do perfect in that. So if I was a little bit younger, I'd
Yes.
definitely be their
Yes.
biggest fan. Um, so yeah, number 6 for me is Elden Ring. And so Elden Ring, I have it this low, and this is kind of where the game of the year has kind of confused me a little bit. Or I'm sorry, don't confuse me. This is where my judgment separates from game of the year. I am a
Okay.
very story based person. Like a game of the year is going to win due to story. I know PlayStation gets a lot of slack or is getting slack for only being like a very cinematic type or bringing cinematic type games out, but that's like I mean they're making
If
it
they're
for
good,
people
they're
like me.
good. Yeah.
Yes. I want a story, I want a journey, I want a beginning, middle, end. I don't want just gameplay. I don't want to just fighting because truly you don't remember that. You don't remember just I just ran up and I fought this orc that I gonna fight another 50 times throughout the game.
You're gonna forget all the chests that you've opened, you know?
Yeah, what chest? I don't even remember I opened chest.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. You just do it over and over. So Elden Ring's really good. You fight a lot of enemies. You get a lot of personal victories. I mean, the Elden Ring, what they do is they make you up your game whenever you feel like you're the best. They're very humbling, and it makes you work even harder, work even smarter, and they want you to use. They make a great little environment, they make a very great community within these games, helping each other, giving tips. You're always looking online for how someone else beat this boss and what you can use from what they did when you go in and try and defeat the boss. And that's a very unique. I don't think there's any other game where I've
That's true.
researched
Yeah.
more for help, reached out for help. Great game, just story. That's not From Software's thing. I think they tried doing more with this, but once you see the higher on the list, you'll understand why.
Yeah, they definitely did with Elden Ring, try to incorporate story more. I appreciate Elden Ring. So that was 6. My number 6 is Baldur's Gate 3, just because I do eventually want to jump into it because it has a lot of aspects that I think I would enjoy. So it's up there. I think it's unique. I think it's in depth, detailed. Definitely worthy of Game of the Year. Definitely worthy of being on this list. One of the top 10 in the last 10 years. So I would put mine at number 6, close to the top 5, but not quite soon. Now, top 5. This is where it gets contentious.
The men separate from the boys.
Yes, here's where the boys leave the chat.
And number 5, to start it off, The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 is a game that you can play over and over again, and it not get boring, it not get repetitive. You love Geralt, you love the universe, you love the stories that you get to go through, and the experience, the random events you get to experience, and story's amazing just as much as the open world. They put just as much work and love into the campaign as they did the actual game, and the gameplay and the environments. And it's a one of a kind. And it started out, like you said earlier in the video, it started off the open world. It made open world everything in gaming.
Yeah.
So it did a lot for it, and now it's only growing in popularity with the show, with these side shows, and
that's true.
It
is becoming a huge IP.
I mean, without this game, it's not doing that. The Witcher 2 was almost there. It almost did it, and Witcher 3 finished that mission that they had. So
that's interesting. And you're a fan, so that's awesome to see it in that spot. So here we go. My number 5 is The Last of Us Part 2.
Why is that? Is that Caleb?
I also am a fan of story. And even though The Last of Us Part 2 story is not the greatest at all, it still makes me feel something. And I honestly love the game after you start playing as Abby. Here's why. I don't think that Joel or Ellie should have been in the game at all. Even going back and touching those characters, you should not have done that. Leave them in the first game like it is. Just show a completely new group of people. You know what I mean? Yeah. Still, you could still do Abby and then her father and not have Joel and Ellie involved, and have her go on her own story. The fact that they involved Ellie made the story worse. They shoehorned in Ellie into obviously a game where she and Joel were not the focus. They obviously focused on Abby and those people. But the parts with that, I think the last third of the game is very good. The last part of you getting out of Seattle and then onto, whatever island that was, where it was on fire, and then that last part of the last part of the game was fantastic. And overall, I think the production and the performances, all of that speak for itself. I think that in of itself is so special in terms of gaming that it just belongs in the top 5 because of the quality of it. And that's why it's number 5. Sorry.
Yeah, that's very respectable. That's a good case for it. I'll hold my opinions. I don't want to ruin your flow right now. So yeah, but that was very well said. There are things
you know what I mean about the separating Joel and Ellie from it. That's all you got to do. Like you can obviously tell they focused on it being an Abby story. Okay, you can still do that. Just give us a game that doesn't even involve Joel and Ellie. Just say, hey, their story was told. It's open ended. That's it. If you want to see them, go back and just play the original. We're not going to ruin it. And then they're going to focus on other people. But instead, they lost focus. They lost focus.
I wish they didn't like have one foot in, have one foot out. I wish they just kill Joel and Ellie, and just leave the rest of the game be Abby, instead of just like taking half and then wanting to keep this other half to keep it going.
Yes.
And then you fill that other half with the guy that killed the other. It's just very
it's so messy.
Traumatic if you care about the characters.
That's another reason why I did want to put it top 5, because it's dramatic in such an opposite way. The first one is dramatic and traumatic in a different way, which we'll talk about, but the second one is still traumatic, but it's so like, dude, no other game makes you feel like that. So just that in and of itself makes it in top 5. There we go.
Yeah. Let's just leave it at that. There you go. Yeah. So number 4 for me.
Just putting that out there. I don't like the game all that much.
It's high quality.
But that's all I'm trying to say. It's high quality. I don't even really like The Last of Us 2 at all. So.
But yeah. Number 4 for me is God of War 2018. This completely rebooted a dead franchise. this game, Kratos and his story was kind of repeated to death with the games. They finished the trilogy off, and then they wanted to do a prequel. Forget the name. Most people forget the game even exists. Wasn't all that well made. And then they resorted back to the remaster of God of War 3, and you were just left in the state, as God of War fans, like, what's next? And people thought they would just try and do like a Horizon Forbidden West, where they just try and do better, make things bigger, and they went a completely different direction. And they
It was such
succeeded.
a hit.
Yeah. Everyone loved it, man. You can't.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, even if you like were diehard fans of the old games and that hack and slash and the just over the top action, right? You can still appreciate 2018.
Yep, you still get it, dude. The opening of the game. It's also my number 4 on my list. So
perfect. Yeah,
perfect. The beginning of God of War 2018, dude. That's over the top. When you're fighting, what's his name, Baldur. When you're fighting him at the beginning of 2018, that is such an amazing opening, like over the top. Like they made you understand that this is God of War. It's still Kratos.
Yeah, and it became a huge meme, and it left its mark in the internet world.
Exactly, game is amazing.
It's beautiful.
The way they tackled a new pantheos of gods, as in the Norse gods, was amazing. What a crazy turnaround from, like you said, not a failed franchise, but a franchise that was successful and died, and they managed to revive it
in limbo.
Yeah, in limbo, and they brought it back in a more successful way than probably any other game series. I'd have to really think about that.
The way that they revived it, it's just not repeatable. I don't think anything will come to it. Cory Barlog?
Cory Barlog, yes.
What he did, I mean, it is amazing. It made him almost retire. Like he can't do it again because
he literally said that he would not direct the second game because you can't.
You have to put so much time and effort in it. He just can't, and that is a sign of how much time and effort and love and care that they put into the first game. And
okay,
it's amazing.
So we have that at our 4. So we said a lot of amazing things about this, but we have the top 3 now. So give me your third.
Top 3. It Takes Two. It Takes Two is the most feel-good game probably ever. I mean, this is a game you want to experience with someone like you truly love, like you truly cherish, and you want to experience this with them. And it's all about finding love, and it's very magical, just childlike, taking you back to when you were a kid type game. And there is absolutely nothing like this. So unique. And that's why it's number 2.
There's nothing like it.
Nothing like it. And all the above, really.
There's nothing like it. I'll say more about that later. My number 3 is The Witcher 3. And this is because I remember seeing a lot about it. I have it ready to play. I understand the IP. It's just hard for me to get into a game in that setting. But I want to experience that world. I want to experience those characters, the side stories. I tried to get into the show, but I really just need to sit down and dive deep into The Witcher 3, especially if I'm a Horizon fan. I know it's somewhat similar. So I can understand and appreciate how impactful The Witcher 3 is, and that it really spawned this genre of big open world RPGs, and it was the first and one of the most successful, and still is one of the most successful games like that. So yep, that's my number 3. So you want to keep going?
Just not gonna have a camera for the last 2.
That's fine. That's fine. We're at the end here. This is the end. We're in the end game now.
End game. No going back. Can't go back. Yeah, so my number 2 is going to be Dragon Age Inquisition.
Explain this to me.
This game is another game that just makes you feel good. This is like the Lord of the Rings of video games. This is the epic conclusion. Just very over the top, and there's so many moving pieces in this game. So you're trying to build relationships, and you're also in control of a kingdom, and so you're having to manage the kingdom. You're having to spread out your forces, and there's possibilities of losing people. So this is a very companion based game. A lot of them are gonna die, and it due to your decision making. If you have decision making in a game, that's gonna get me. I mean, I'm like lovey dovey for like let me be in control. Let me make my choices. And this game gives you the opportunity. And I beat this game like that. I mean, it's very beautiful RPG fantasy. An amazing game. And then this was the first game I've ever enjoyed from a single player game, the DLC. I
Oh,
just
really?
finished the Trespasser DLC a couple days ago because it was on sale. And I found out it was like the true ending, and I'm glad they made it. It sucks that the true ending wasn't in the actual game, but this game, even in the epilogue, even in the after ending, the second ending, I was screaming. I was like, "Oh my gosh, no way this is happening!" And there was twist. You get super high. You get super scared. There's a bunch of high lows in it, and it is a perfect setup for Dreadwolf that is coming out in a couple years. Hoping within 3 years.
Yeah,
But
that's awesome.
um,
Definitely a huge game for RPG fans.
100%.
Because of yeah, it looks like a mixture of a bunch of games, and I didn't understand, like I didn't know that you could control, I guess your forces and spread them out and stuff like that.
It's very D&D inspired.
Yeah, which makes me kind of interested in it. That's cool. So, all right, that was your number two. My number two, and these top two, I go back and forth on, but I think I agree with this right here. It Takes Two is in my number two. Like everything you said about it, only thing I could add is it is a masterclass in story. It's almost a masterclass in gameplay, but it's just so fun in gameplay because it switches up so many styles. You have your platforming. You literally have it's a 2D fighter at some point. It's a third person shooter at one point. It's a top down, twin stick shooter at one point. It switches so many different styles of gameplay and it makes it so fun because it's all cooperative based and all of it plays into the story. And the story is incredible. I literally teared up when I popped the trophy for beating the game because if you remember, the trophy for beating the game is It Took Two. So the game is It Takes Two, and then you finally beat the game, and on your screen it just shows It Took Two because you did it. And if you
Yep.
know the story of the game, yes, you do it in this game. You did it, and it's like you said, unlike any other gaming experience. Almost, except for our number one pick.
Most.
So, what is it?
What is it? What is the game of the decade plus a year? And
Yeah,
that is
last 10 years.
hands down. Oh yeah, I guess. Well, yeah. So yeah, 9 official game of the years plus the VGA. Hands down, and it will always be. And for me, this is the best game of all time. The Last of Us. This game is so beautiful. And what's crazy, I didn't play the game when I first experienced the game. I watched a walkthrough from Ghost Robo. Doesn't really make videos anymore. So if you know him, shout out to you. I was watching them too.
That's awesome.
And that's almost like powerful now thinking back on it. Like
That's
I
true.
got so attached. Like that's the appreciation of making a great story is the fact that you can enjoy it to the fullest without even touching a controller, without the gameplay, without doing hands on with it. Just experiencing the motions, getting attached, feeling the loss, feeling the pain, and going through the journey with Joel and
every step of the way.
Every step of the way.
Yeah.
And I up until that point, I never had a game emotionally impact me the way that it did. And the more I've gotten older, the more I've gotten to appreciate, and understand these characters. And so that it's like an ever evolving love with this game. And it's just
I agree with you. It's my number one because of that reason. Like every step of the way, it's a story. The characters evolve. Like you are in the shoes of Joel, and you see him through his worst. And you see him change, and I guess essentially you see him at his maybe not objective best, but you see him do a complete 180 from having a daughter to not having a daughter to not wanting a daughter to not wanting to lose his new daughter. It's literally a perfect circle in terms of character development and story, and you get to play it along the way. And I'll never forget when there's parts of the game where he gets attacked and he gets hurt and he goes through so much, and I was like, this is some insane, visceral, like intense gameplay and stuff that's happening to this guy, and you play it like right there along with him every step of the way. So like there's games over the last decade like Ghost of Tsushima that I would put up there as one of the greatest games ever, but with the original Last of Us, it is literally every step of the way, every chapter, every mission, something happens, something significant happens, and it blows your mind. It is a movie if you watch it, but it is the highest caliber of gaming if you choose to play it through every step of the way. Absolutely just incredible. I put it up there in the top 5 games of all time, probably top 3, along with It Takes Two. So I think over the last decade, It Takes Two and The Last of Us are probably in the top 3 games ever made.
Yeah.
Obviously, we both have them in the top 3. Would highly recommend these games over anything else. So you've heard enough about The Last of Us. It's all everyone everyone talks about, but
there's
it's
a reason
worth it.
why
It is that
it's
good.
like
There's a
overtalked
reason.
by now.
Yes, it is really that good. And people, as time goes on, wants to get smart. They want to seem, smarter than other people. And no, Last of Us wasn't that good. No, it really was that good. It still is that good. So I think that is comprehensive. I think that is enough. We've spent hours talking about these games. So to wrap it up, give me your top 3 most recommended games of all time. Most recommended. That if somebody that for a fact has never played these games, what would you recommend them?
So yeah, here, give me 1 second. I should have it. I'm a person that likes to change his mind a lot, but so I have to write down stuff like make it concrete.
Make it concrete,
yes,
yeah.
my most highly recommended games, Skyrim, just because that is it's one of the best RPG open world games of all time, but it's very easy to get into. It's for casual gamers. It's for hardcore gamers. Amazing storytelling, amazing universe, and I could play a game. I've literally played that game like 5 times over, and I still haven't beaten it. I don't know how that's possible. I'm just keep restarting. The beginning and the middle is where it's at. Beautiful game. Another game, and I'm gonna go a little, out of the norm right here. Subnautica. Subnautica. There is nothing like it. and I love that. It's right up there with the ocean, the water. For me, that's my biggest fear: open water. And this is the scariest game of all time, and somehow the most beautiful game of all time. The sea creatures. The opening act. You're put in this little like safe area, and you like you build stuff in there, and you feel very at peace. But you're trying to get off the island, and so quickly you realize I got to get out of this safe area, and you come across very big creatures, very scary creatures, very intense situations, and you had to get through that to get out of this to get back to humanity. And I love that it pushes you to the edge, and it just nothing like that, and that's probably the best thing you can say about it. um Sucks because the other game is kind of out of date. I was gonna say Black Ops 3, a little out of date. That was a very peak for Call of Duty for me. Um, I'm gonna go with Dark Souls 3. I don't want to make you angry.
Ooh,
Don't
you're
wanna
going
make you angry.
gameplay now. Yeah, you're
Yes.
recommended. Okay, that's perfect. You're recommending some gameplay based games. Mine are the complete opposite.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. No. So we talked a lot about stories, and that's beautiful. And sometimes you just want a game. And
Yes,
Dark Souls 3 is the. Have you played it? Because this is like the best one to
I
get
can't get into
into.
it.
Can't. Wow. Yeah. No. Dark Souls
But I'm a
3.
story person. You're
Okay.
gonna see
All
here in
right.
a second. I'm a story person.
Gotta find out. Yeah. So strictly gameplay. Dark Souls 3 had not a bad rep, but if you're not the best gamer, it was bad rep. Its reputation was being very hard. Dark Souls 3 kind of mellowed out for a little bit. It makes the beginning to the game a lot more accessible for the less advanced players, the new fans. I think a lot of new fans came in because of Dark Souls 3 and how much more inviting it was. This took over my world when it came out. Loved it, watched it, played it. It's a beautiful, amazing journey that no matter who you are, you're gonna love to appreciate it.
Those are good picks. Highest caliber of gameplay picks right there. So I love it. Mine, quick 3 games. Obviously, I'm a huge person, a huge story lover. So I would say The Last of Us, of course. Highly recommend this game. If you're not crying in the opening of the game, or if you're not crying by the middle or end of the game, you have no heart.
You're not.
You have no emotions. You're not human. Amazing game. I also love stealth. That will be
Oh,
a theme. I love
oh yeah,
stealth.
yeah.
I love stealth so much. No, Last of Us isn't the greatest stealth game, but it has some fun stealth elements to it. It Takes Two. I recommend this almost over anything. You also have no heart if you don't enjoy this game. If you have a heart, play this game. That's all I can say. It is fantastic on every level. Highest quality of game right there if you enjoy video games. My last pick is super biased. If you love anything involving comic books, anything involving good stories, anything involving fun gameplay, anything involving stealth, Batman Arkham City, I recommend more than almost anything because the story is incredible and the ending, if it doesn't have you feeling some type of way at the end, you have no soul. Those are my 3 games I recommend over almost anything if you like good stories in video games. So, Stone Cold Kev, that was fun, man. A lot of time here talking about video games. So, thank you for coming on and obviously giving some amazing analysis and deep takes, hot takes, all kinds of takes on here. It was a lot of fun. So,
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me. Till next.
definitely, yeah, definitely again in the future, near future, we'll do this. So, that was, I guess, episode 38. I might split it into two. So if you're watching, thank you. If you're listening, thank you. And until next time, we will see you guys later.